Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It's our Wednesday, January 10th, 2024 meeting. Could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this point in time, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission that are here this evening. To my immediate right is James Fitzsimmons, commission member. Next to Jim is Jeff Cohan, also a commission member. And at the end is Jamie Hine, who is an alternate on the commission. To my immediate left is J.P. Benoit, who is the vice chairperson of the commission. Next to J.P. is Steve Allenson, also a commission member. And next to Steve is David Parent, an alternate on the commission. And at the end is Joseph Sanders, who's also an alternate. At the lower table to my left is Cheryl Ann Tubby, our recording secretary, and next to Cheryl Ann is Kevin Pagini, our town planner, and I'm Jim Syke, the chairperson of the commission. Before I get into approving the minutes of our meeting of December 11, 2023, just two announcements as far as two items that will not be heard this evening. The first is item number 4. It's a public hearing. It's a special permit, restaurant, retail, office, and restaurant. Two restaurant, retail, office, and residential. J. Ahern at 300 Church Street, Yalesville. There's no action taking on that. The applicant has asked that we continue or move it to our February meeting. The next item is old business, number 5. It's a site plan multifamily residential under 840G V Parada at 898 Church Street. And again, the applicant is not applicant, and one of his representatives are not here this evening, so that won't be heard. That'll be heard at our February meeting. And it brings us to our first order of business is consider approval of the minutes of our December 11, 2023 meeting. Any commission members with some any corrections, additions to the minutes? If I hear none, I then entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of the December 11th, 2023 meeting as submitted.
Good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cohan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstention.
And
Abstention.
Okay. That's Mr. Benoit and Mr. Allenson. Okay. With that, we'll move to our first public hearing. It's a zone change, R18 to DD4, Lost and Found Ventures LLC, 10 Mansion Road. And Mr. Allenson, while the applicant's preparing for the presentation, if you please read the legal notice and note all correspondence for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 503-23, zoning map amendment request for Lost and Found Ventures LLC to rezone a portion of a parcel at 10 Mansion Road from R18 to DD40, extending the existing DD40 boundary by a total area of 21,095 square feet on map entitled Zone Change Location Map, dated 1/31/2023, and revised to 10/26/2023. Map and meets and bounds description can be viewed in the town clerk's office and the planning and zoning office. We have an interdepartmental referral from Scott Shipman, senior engineer, date of receipt November 13th, 2023. An inspection report from the Wallingford Fire Department, inspection date 11/20/23. An interdepartmental referral from Allison Kapuscinski, town engineer, date of receipt November 13th, 2023. An interdepartmental referral from Aaron O'Hara, environmental planner, date of receipt November 13th, 2023. A document entitled Planning and Zoning Sign-Off Sheet, noting check marks regarding the application. Received date November 29th, 2023. Correspondence to the Planning and Zoning Commission from Save Mansion Creek LLC dated December 5th, 2023. A roadway assessment report dated November 2023, received December 5th, 2023, prepared by Decision Security Solutions LLC, Jeffrey Dubuck. I apologize about the name, if I got that wrong. A document that appears to be a list of surrounding properties affected, and some signatures noted on it. Apologize for the lack of title. A memorandum to Kevin Pagini, Town Engineer, from Janus Small Corporation Council, dated October 10th, 2023. A document beginning with zoning map amendment, R18 to DD40, with a date referenced March 13th, 2023. Email correspondence from Dennis Senaviva to Kevin Pagini, dated January 5th, 2024. A document containing purported electronic signatures and images and hand signatures on a petition received January 8th, 2024. Document entitled Revised Memorandum to members of the Planning and Zoning Commission from Save Mansion Creek LLC, dated January 8th, 2024. And a memorandum to the Planning and Zoning Commission from Janus Small Corporation Council, dated January 9th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Allenson. Before I get started, I know there's been a few people who have just come in late. Just in case you are here for item number 5, which is the site plan for 898 Church Street. Again, that's not going to be heard this evening. So, with that, the applicant and/or its representative, please introduce themselves and begin the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For your record, my name is Dennis Senaviva. I'm an attorney with the Senaviva Law Firm, represent the owner and applicant. To my left is Patricia DeLeo, who's an attorney with the firm of Brenner, Saltzman, and Wallman. She is here as co-counsel and will be acting as we move forward collaboratively with my office. Mr. Chairman, I had called the planner at some point today and said rather than requesting a continuance of this public hearing, that I thought it appropriate, given that this was continued last month, that the public hearing be opened. But the applicant is not here. He is ill. I don't have my engineer, and we're looking for an opportunity to be heard, and we've asked that in any event the public hearing remain open until your February meeting, at which time we'll make our presentation. But rather than have people who have planned to be here, or certainly some of the opponents, and not give them an opportunity to speak, I thought it would have been unfair on the part of the applicant to just simply send an email and ask for a continuance to February, as some of the other applications have done, and leave it to the Commission's discretion as to whether you want to begin the presentation of the opposition or just continue the entire matter to the February meeting.
Well, obviously, it will have to be continued to next month in order for you to make your presentation, but we have all of the members that are public that are here this evening. Certainly, they are welcome to come to our February meeting, but I think it would certainly be unfair to not let those individuals come and and speak, as well as if they have some legal representation that would like to come, and certainly make a presentation. I think that certainly is something that this commission would do.
Yeah, and that was my thought. I didn't want to just, again, I know last month there was, if I was an opponent, I'd like to know that I'd have an opportunity to speak, and so that's why I didn't want to just send an email and say, could you just continue it to February, which I've done in the past, and you've been gracious enough to grant, but I did want to give the opportunity for any of the neighbors who are here, at least they have an opportunity to speak, and some people may have scheduled, babysitters or, made arrangements, and I didn't want to thwart those efforts. That's not the intent here.
As far as you mentioned, you're not in position to begin your presentation. I assume some members of the public will have certain comments they would like to make on the application. Other ones may have also questions that they would like to have answered. Are you going to be answering those questions this evening, or would you simply like or propose that we take all those questions down, and then at our next meeting you'd be in a position to answer those questions? I guess, how would you like to?
I think the latter option is best. I mean, I will be doing that, as will Attorney DeLeo will be writing down any of the inquiries made. Certainly happy to respond to those. Typically, we go to the minutes also, and we have a pretty good sense as to what's been requested. I know this is unusual, but again, I thought it appropriate. I know there's a significant amount of there's an intervener. I mean, I know the whole situation, so I didn't want to be ungracious and just, again, ask for a continuance without giving them the opportunity to be heard.
Okay. Any commission members with any comments? Seeing none, Mr. Pagini, do you have any comments before I go out to the public?
No comments.
Okay. Again, this is a public hearing. We certainly open it to any members of the public who would like to make any comments, ask any questions. What I'd like to do, though, I'd just like to see a show of hands of members of the public that would like to speak this evening. Okay. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start on this side of the auditorium. Start with the back of individuals that would like to speak, then move forward, then go to the center, and then go to the left side. So again, on the right side, those individuals that would like to speak, please raise your hands. Yes, yes. And again, I'll ask for your name and address, please. Yes, right there, and just if you would make sure the mic is turned on.
Not working.
I think it is.
Hello? Oh.
Yes.
Good evening, planning and zoning members. This is kind of a shock that it's being done this way. My name is Dee Henry, and I reside at Heritage Woods Condos. I am here tonight to voice my opposition on this zone change from residential to commercial, which will ultimately open the doors for a restaurant, 2 or 3 stationary food trucks, possible picnic area, and entertainment at 10 Mansion Road. Some residents tonight may focus on a traffic study and the house and the noise impacts. I will be focusing on the food trucks, a lighting system, wildlife, and the use of a pesticide extermination treatment. I will be within your time frame of speaking. My research started with a few phone calls to a few highly recommended food truck owners, which I do not know personally. Stationary food trucks will definitely attract rodents, rats, mice, snakes, and insects. Number 2, what pesticide treatment will be used on this property? Number 3, speaking to a few rangers who are in touch with DEEP and EPA, advise most pesticides used in Connecticut will kill rodents. But then wildlife, such as many species of birds and smaller animals, eat the dead rodents and then die from the poison. These organizations are working very hard to ban these pesticides used. Fox, deer, bear, wild turkeys all have been seen at this corner and property on Mansion Road. My conversation with these food truck owners ended with, Miss, You have a real problem here, and this should never be considered in a residential area. Now focus on the powerful lighting system that will have to be installed due to night hours of this restaurant and food trucks. How unfair this is for the homes and condos directly impacted. Number 5, according to wildlife organizations, these lights will confuse wildlife. It can be stated that the area would be clean, but let's be realistic. Dead rodents will be on that property, and it will be a vicious circle of death. Thank you for listening, and I only hope that your votes will be no on this zone change and restaurant in our quiet residential neighborhood, which is also home to all types of wildlife and a beautiful running creek. Thank you.
Sure enough, thank you. Again, on this side of the, if we could just maybe hold the applause to the end, that would be, yes, excuse me? Oh, absolutely. This is a public hearing, and until the public hearing is closed, all members of the public as well as the applicant are able to comment. So again, this will be continued to next month. You know, if you have questions this evening, comments, concerns this evening, now is the time. But certainly you have the time if you have other items that you would like to bring up. Those can be mentioned in the next meeting. So it's not going to be your only chance is not going to be this evening. I'm kind of long-winded. Okay, again, on this side, anyone else that would like to speak? And we'll move to the center, and we'll start with this gentleman in the front, and then we'll move to the back. Yes, you, sir. Yes.
Hello, Robert O'Connor, 53 Brentwood Drive. A lot of thought has been gone through with a bunch of friends of mine. We've sort of amassed a group of people that are amazed to one fact, and I'm only going to address the one fact, how this ever got to be zoned to be able to put a restaurant with food trucks and such, and the lighting and the traffic and everything is amazing. We just can't fathom that they would even assume that could be a viable thing, to put that type of a building and a type of a thing there. I don't even want to get into the traffic. The rodents and the pests are one thing, but just the lighting. It abuts Lower Brentwood Village. We have people that have spent their life savings and bought these quiet neighborhood condominiums. And they have put them there, and they were all off. They're all down there, and it's nice and quiet. Now, where this property is, you stand on that property and look to the left, and you could see the houses. You could see the doors. You could see the front windows. It boggles my mind that they would ever even think of putting something like this, let alone let it happen, where you would zone it so that they could do something like this. It's a boondoggle. It's stupid. It really is stupid. It can't be done. I went on the property about 6 times before they kicked me off. And I want you to know that how could they possibly have what they want in that small area without causing greater danger to the public? Not only just the traffic, but the lighting. It's going to confuse the animals. It's going to confuse the drivers. I come down that road every single day. I could not imagine people pulling out of that place and taking a left and going to Hartford Turnpike without a light and trying to turn left or right. It's impossible. It's already bad, and it'll get worse. There should be a traffic study. There should be something else. I just don't understand, gentlemen, how it could have been changed to accommodate this. It just seems to me that it wasn't thought out enough. And there's a lot of people here that just can't believe that this was done. I really want you to think about it. Going forward, a about changing it back and not being able to have this restaurant where it is. These people have spent their life savings getting a condominium so they can have a quiet life. It'll be ruined. The smell, the look, the noise, and the rodents prove that it will not go good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, yes, individual right in the front.
Members of the Commission, Mr. Pagini, good evening. I'm Karen Foster, 40 Jones Road. I speak on behalf of the group Save Mansion Creek. Now, you have received in electronic form protest letters from nearly 50% of the 331 owners within the legal notification boundary, and that was mentioned by Mr. Allenson. You have also received in electronic form a petition signed by nearly 250 Wallingford residents. But I think there were some items which we sent in, which I didn't hear you put on your list, and if I could just confirm that you actually did receive those. So you've got the protest letters and you have the petition, but I didn't hear you say the letter from Timothy J. Lee of Fasano, Ippolito Lee, and Flamina.
It's all in one package.
It was
That
all
was-
included, excuse me, if it was all included, when Mr. Allenson, I believe, mentioned, we had from
There should be six.
Save Mansion Creek,
Yeah,
that was one of them, and then attached.
right. There were six items altogether. 3 were submitted in December, and 3
Yeah, and then
were
the three
submitted
were
in
just,
January.
they were just, they were all,
Yeah,
excuse
so
me,
you've got them all.
they're all attached here, yes. We have all three
Okay,
of those.
what? I just wanted to just tamp that down before
Sure, certainly.
I sent in. Thank you so much. Okay, so what are the principal concerns of this very large number of Wallingford residents? So at the PZC's meeting of March 13, 2023, Shalom Elkes, who was then the owner of this property, requested a zoning map amendment, which was approved. Improper notification by the applicant, resulting in no public input, nullified that decision. Now, 10 months later, with the current property owner's application for the same zoning amendment, we submit that much has changed since your March decision. For your consideration, we summarize here some of the critical changes and new information you now have at your disposal. You also have a letter, as I mentioned, from Attorney Timothy Lee, representing Save Mansion Creek, which sets forth reasons and case law for the PZC not to be bound by its prior approval, as well as why it should deny the zoning map amendment. And that you have, again, in your packet. The property in question is at the corner of Mansion Road and South Turnpike Road on the stretch between Cook Hill and the North Haven line. It has a historic house, the Colonel Williams Marks House, later the Rose House, built in 1820 as an expansion of the original 18th century dwelling. The major area of the property is unbuildable, for it includes steep ravines, regulated watercourses, and a massive outcrop of igneous rock. In or about 2002, the town of Wallingford amended the zoning map, designating the eastern portion of this property as DD40 and keeping the R18 designation for the western portion. In July 2003, Shalom Elkes asked Linda Bush, who was then town planner, what could be done with the DD40 portion. And she responded, and I quote, "Where on this lot can you actually build a commercial building and parking lot? This office will oppose any requests for variances to build on this lot in the future," end quote. In May 2023, Shalom Elkes sold the property to Lost and Found Ventures, LLC. Detailed plans were prepared by Giuliano Associates, utilizing the entire site for a restaurant, bar, food trucks, outdoor dining area, parking lot, and associated amenities. These plans also involved the demolition of the 1820 house. Commercial development of the site was no longer a hypothetical project, as it had been back in March, but a concrete undertaking. In October 2023, the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission approved the owner's application A23 5.5. The plans submitted were predicated on his obtaining the zone map change at a future PZC meeting. And you have figure 1 in your packet, which I'll just remind you it looks like, whoops, it looks like this. It's been colored by Save Mansion Creek for clarity. The blue is watercourses, the wetlands, and the yellow is the upland review area, and you can see that that's just superimposed over the most recent set of plans that we had at our disposal. In November 2023, Save Mansion Creek and other plaintiffs filed an appeal of the IWWC decision with the Superior Court in New Haven based on serious procedural and evidentiary grounds. And this appeal is pending. As for the numerous other issues raised by permitting a commercial enterprise on this site, it is absolutely crucial to note that the proposed restaurant complex would be the only commercial enterprise from Cook Hill to the North Haven line with no driveway on South Turnpike. For this reason alone, this property's DD40 amendment over 20 years ago should never have been done. On the driveway matter, we note that last summer, with respect to the proposed project at Highland and Church in Yalesville, Mr. Giuliano said, and I quote, "Prior applications for this property have always tried to come in off Highland Avenue. However, I chose not to go in that direction. I didn't want to impact the existing neighbors," end quote. We have heard no such concern here. In our view, the fundamental question is not why the western portion ought to be rezoned DD40, but why the eastern portion might not revert to R18, thereby correcting what appears to have been a significant town oversight. Nobody 20 years ago, or in the decades since, predicted that someone would actually plan to put a commercial enterprise on that geologically and environmentally challenging plot of land, much less a restaurant complex occasionally greatly increased traffic flow on Mansion Road. Indeed, one of the most serious concerns residents have is traffic and public safety. Restaurant, bar, and food truck patrons must enter and exit the parking lot from Mansion Road. No other driveway is possible. Turning toward South Turnpike, drivers immediately encounter a particularly problematic intersection. From 2001 to 2003, the State Department of Transportation discussed with the town plans for, quote, safety improvements to Mansion Road at South Turnpike. The DOT was rightly concerned about this skew-type intersection of an uncontrolled thoroughfare, that is, South Turnpike, with a stop sign-controlled road, which is Mansion Road. It found severe problems with sightlines and noted the presence of potential stratified drift aquifers. The project never came to fruition, mainly because of the dawning nature of the igneous rock outcrop along South Turnpike. The Connecticut DOT's Highway Design Manual provides intersection sight distance figures. The sight line to the southbound lane of South Turnpike from a vehicle stopped on Mansion is only approximately 266 feet. This is over 100 feet less than standards dictate for a safe right-hand turn, and nearly 200 feet less for a safe left-hand turn, if all southbound vehicles are obeying the speed limit of 40 miles an hour, which they routinely exceed. And you have figure 2, which looks like this. which gives the DOT figures in chart form. Yeah. With,
Yeah,
with
we have all of that, and I believe the commission members have reviewed that.
Super. Another serious concern is traffic obstruction caused by delivery trucks supplying the restaurant, bar, and food trucks. The delivery ramp indicated on the plan leads from an existing car with pull-in on Mansion to the rear of the restaurant. Large food and beverage delivery trucks will park there and block part of the road. At that point on Mansion, the road crests from a dip, and there is a blind curve. Drivers seeking to go around the trucks will have almost no visibility of any oncoming eastbound traffic or of the school bus stop just beyond. In addition, there is the very real possibility that overflow parking will be needed, to judge from the current situation of the applicant's restaurant on North Colony. Patrons would likely have to find parking along Mansion in both directions. The road is not wide enough for cars to go safely around them, nor are there any sidewalks or designated shoulders for pedestrian use. Any vehicles parked close to the South Turnpike corner could further obstruct the already inadequate sightlines and prove hazardous to vehicles making that hairpin right turn onto Mansion. It is our understanding that the applicant has already approached the credit union with the idea of constructing an overflow parking lot on that portion of that property. People would thus be crossing Mansion, typically after dark and often late at night, creating a potentially hazardous situation, especially since there is no street light illuminating that particular section of Mansion, and existing residential driveways risk being regularly used by vehicles turning around. In November 2023, Save Mansion Creek engaged Decision Security Solutions, LLC, to prepare a preliminary roadway assessment report. This report concludes that Mansion Road cannot safely support the increased traffic flow, parking issues, and related matters generated by the proposed restaurant complex. In December 2023, Save Mansion Creek engaged Vliet & O'Neill, LLC, to take a preliminary look at the geometry of the intersection and related matters. The letter from Daniel O'Neill outlines the extensive data the PZC should have in order to evaluate properly the potential impact on traffic and public safety. He also addresses the important need for the PZC to consider a full build scenario before reaching a decision about the zone map change. Our December memorandum urged the PZC to ask the applicant to perform a comprehensive traffic study. This past Friday, January 5th, 2024, the applicant's attorney submitted a document from KWH Enterprises, LLC, allowing no time for adequate review and response prior to the hearing this evening. A quick read shows that the document provides insufficient data, is of limited scope, and is based on several misapprehensions. Residents have many other serious concerns about the potentially adverse effects of this restaurant complex in a residential area, including noise, light, and odor pollution, attraction for pests, litter, decline in property values, and so forth. You will hear, and you have heard, in greater detail from many Wallingford citizens at this hearing with respect to these and related matters. In conclusion, members of the PZC, you now have much more knowledge than you had in March to inform your decision about the zoning map amendment requested. To sum up, this includes 1. Very substantial public protest, as evidenced by the letters, petitions, and attendance at this meeting. Detailed information about the applicant's specific commercial plans for the property. Number 3, the appeal pending of the IWWC decision in Superior Court. Number 4, grave traffic and public safety issues. Number 5, potential for vehicular and other noxious fluids, as well as non-biodegradable and other litter generated by the site's uses in indoor and outdoor eatery, to enter Mansion Creek, which flows only a short distance away into the environmentally sensitive Quinnipiac River protected area. Number 6, potential for rodent and other pest control measures to impact adversely wildlife species especially those federally and state protected species that have been identified in the immediate vicinity. And last, potential adverse consequences for a wide range of other matters, from noise levels to property levels, integral to the quality of residential life in the quiet neighborhoods of this proposed restaurant complex. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other members of the public in the center? Anyone that would like to speak from there?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sharon Petrillo. I live at 164 Mansion Road. In addition to the memo from Karen Foster, the traffic impact report from Villette and O'Neill, Crash Reconstruction Traffic Engineering, the roadway assessment report from Jeff DeBeck of Decision Security Solutions LLC, and the letters, comments, and testimonials read or to be read from the residents affected by this zone change, I would like to address this committee as to our concerns regarding the zone change submitted by Mr. Flamini to change the property at 10 Mansion Road from a residential zone to a DD40 commercial zone. First and foremost, as was previously stated this evening, there is a major concern regarding the hazardous conditions that will most certainly be caused by the influx of traffic onto Mansion Road, a residential road, if a restaurant and food truck facility is built at this site. I stated most certainly, as I truly believe there is no doubt whatsoever in my mind that this will be the case. One key factor is that there is only one way in and one way out of the restaurant, and that is via an entrance to be located on Mansion Road, less than 75 feet from the corner of an already hazardous intersection. Traffic entering Mansion Road at this intersection is already a major hazard. The majority of cars traveling Mansion Road do not obey the posted traffic speed of 35 miles per hour, and most cars travel this roadway at speeds well in excess of 45 miles per hour. In response to the applicant's traffic impact report from Kermit Ho of KWH Enterprises dated December 19, 2023, and received by the P&Z on January 5th, wherein he states, and I quote, "Both roadways, Mansion Road and South Turnpike Road, carries relatively low traffic volumes. According to Officer Christian Evans, traffic investigator for the town of Wallingford, based upon his 30 years of experience in the traffic division, that South Turnpike Road from Cook Hill to North Haven line is an excessively traveled roadway and that there is consistent speeding on that road. He further stated that the reported number of accidents is relatively high at that corner. Since both the town of Wallingford and the State of Connecticut, DOT, have known about this dangerous traffic and public safety situation on South Turnpike Road and Mansion Road, at least since 2001, the town would be legally liable for any damages suffered from any accident, as sufficient notice of this unsafe situation is of record. As mentioned in the roadway assessment report, there is a hairpin turn entering Mansion Road from South Turnpike Road. The proposed site is located at the corner of this intersection, and the driveway entrance to the proposed restaurant is expected to be located on Mansion Road less than 75 feet from the corner of the intersection. Just as you pass the entrance to the proposed restaurant, there is a very sharp left curve in the roadway going up Mansion Road. At this sharp curve are the entrances to Brentwood Village and across the street, Heritage Woods. This dangerous section of Mansion Road is also where the children of Brentwood and Heritage Village are dropped off and picked up each day by a school bus. The risk to these children will be exacerbated by the additional flow of traffic that will be caused from customers of the proposed restaurant entering and exiting from the only way in and out of this establishment on Mansion Road. Due to the nature of the fast food services offered by food trucks, there will most certainly be an additional increase in traffic caused by these particular customers, in addition to the traffic caused by the customers at the sit-down restaurant. This will be a recipe for disaster. Another hazardous traffic situation will be caused by the delivery trucks parking on Mansion Road, as there will be no place for them to enter the restaurant's parking lot from the driveway to park and make their deliveries. They will be forced to park on Mansion Road, which will cause further traffic backups as well as a dangerous traffic situation for those cars trying to go around them on this treacherous stretch of road with its curves, inclines, and limited visibility. This will most certainly create yet another hazardous situation. Next, let's address the quality of life of those residents whose homes are directly on the border of the proposed site, Brentwood Village. These residents will now have to deal with and suffer from loss of privacy, loud music and noises from the crowds of customers well into the night, as well as the constant smell of food and the bright lights from the restaurant and traffic. In addition, both Brentwood Village and Heritage Woods have to deal with restaurant customers parking at their complex when the restaurant's very small parking lot is full. The residents of Old Oak Village on South Turnpike Road have stated that the reason they moved here and chose to stay at Old Oak Village is that this complex affords them privacy, space, and a quiet neighborhood for which to live. They are in opposition due to the heavy traffic this restaurant will cause to South Turnpike Road, as well as loss of privacy. The property values of all these residents will also be adversely affected and will most likely decrease the value of their homes due to the restaurant being built. Lastly, but not less important, we need to address the site's wildlife in this area, as well as the waterways upon it that feed the Quinnipiac River. Any toxins from pesticides, which will be used to control the rodents and pests, are likely to leach into these waterways. Pursuant to the 2023 Natural Diversity Data Map published by the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, the proposed site is listed as a known location of state and federal listed species and critical habitat and was compiled by the Natural Diversity Database from a variety of data sources. In conclusion, we believe that this committee has now received much more information regarding this site than it did when the last zoning change was passed in March of this last year. We believe that the information presented to this committee, as well as the outcry of the nearly 300 residents who have either signed a petition and or are present here this evening to show their support in opposition to this proposed zone change, and the applicant's desire to build a restaurant facility and food truck court at this site, that this committee can now fully and properly review the information presented to evaluate this site and come to the conclusion that this is not a proper site for a venue such as this on our residential neighborhood. I also have a letter here from Dr. Greenberg, who has an office across the street. This is dated August 28th, 2023.
If you could just please just enter that into the record. There's no need for you to read that to us.
Okay.
That'll be part of the record.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Again, in the center, anyone else that would like to speak on the application? Sir, before you do, just please, people raise their hands in the center if you'd like to speak. I know I have you, sir. And then we'll start moving back to this next individual. You're up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Benjamin Foster. I live at 40 Jones Road in Wallingford, and I have two brief communications from residents who can't be here this evening, which they asked me to read, and they're quite brief and to the point. First, from Brian Gray, G-R-A-Y, from 33 Jones Road, and I quote, "I have lived here since 1977. We drive down Mansion Road to South Turnpike on an average of 4 times a day. This intersection is not safe. It is very difficult to see vehicles traveling south on South Turnpike. You have to creep way beyond the stop sign and listen for cars coming. Those of us who live there know to do this. That's the only reason there haven't been more accidents at this intersection. But if this zone change is approved and the restaurant is built, there's going to be increased traffic, mostly after dark, and from people unfamiliar with this intersection. This is a huge risk to public safety. Also, there won't be enough parking in the lot shown on the plans, so vehicles will park on Mansion and turn around in private driveways. Members of the Commission, here are my questions. How will the town and the property owner handle this increased traffic and serious potential risk to public safety? 2, how will residents handle increased noise, light, and air pollution? 3, how will residents handle invasion of their privacy with the light, noise, and traffic this close, some of them living just a few hundred feet away? How will residents handle loss in property value, stuck paying mortgages on what their homes were worth previously? For me, the bottom line is safety. We've had a calm, safe neighborhood all these years. I ask the Commission members, in making their zone change decision, to keep public safety foremost in mind. and also to consider the best interests of the residents of this neighborhood I've been proud to call home for nearly 50 years. Thank you for listening. The second letter comes from James Carlson of 157 Brentwood Drive, and I quote, "Someone doesn't see the real issue. It's not that the area residents wouldn't like to see Mr. Flamini open a new dining option in the area. It's that the noise, light, and trash pollution caused by this proposed establishment will completely destroy the tranquility of the area, especially those directly behind the property across the very quiet 30-foot deep ravine. The accompanying noise of outdoor dining, lighting, a proposed movie screen and sound system, as well as outdoor music entertainment, will not only seriously diminish our quality of life, but also lower property values in the area. This is a great idea, just the wrong place for it. The zoning change should not be granted on those grounds." And I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. If you could please bring those two letters and also the letter from Dr. Greenberg, and if you could give those to Mr. Pagini, just so they could be entered into the record. Mr. Pagini. And again, moving back, yes, I believe if you please come forward.
Good evening. Maria Santos, 44 Nodbrook Road. I don't live in the immediate area of the said facility, but right up the road in the cul-de-sac, I searched long and hard for 10 years to find my house in a quiet, quaint neighborhood. I 100% back Karen, Carol, Bob, D, 100%. Everything they said, so I'm going to speak personally from my thought is, again, that intersection, what they said, coming out, you have to squeak out just to be able to see coming from southbound. The noise, the traffic pollution, the rodents, the oil, what am I looking for? The oil rubbish and how they disperse of it. I've been in restaurants for 33 years. It's not pretty. That corner is an eyesore, but I'd rather look at what it is now than to see what he is planning for it. My question is, and the questions I have, is parking, as they do. Restaurant facilities, your chefs, you're in that magnitude, you're looking to have 4 chefs employed in one shift, 4 servers, 2 bartenders, a couple of bussers. They all need to park somewhere. Then you have your patrons parking. And also, too, if they decide to and you approve a movie theater outdoors, as couples, 2 per car, 30 seatings, 15 cars, where are they going to park? Again, the roadway is very narrow, and which I think they failed to mention, too, that is a very heavily cycled road, bicyclists. There is no bike lane there. Cars parked on the road, cars parked on both sides. Your road is this wide now. Where's the bicyclist going to ride? I commend the bicyclists going up and down that road daily. I could never do it. But again, blind, curves, traffic. I frequent that intersection, like I said, 4 to 6 times a day. Sometimes I avoid it and travel up Jones Road and come down to Cook Hill just to take the light, just not to have to deal with traffic there. Again, I also worry about the college community that I was informed that they were going to try to affiliate and propose their project to and solicit to. Quinnipiac College, 1 way in, 1 way out. I'm sorry, 2 ways in, 2 way out, which is Mount Carmel Ave and Tuttle Road and Mansion Road. There are no lights. There are a lot of blind curves there, a lot of tight roadways. You have college students that are drinking and having a good time and going back to campus. They don't have a lighted road. They don't know and are familiar with the area. I foresee a lot more accidents happening there. Same thing with my area, landmark. I am a circle cul-de-sac. They're not familiar with the area. Oh, let's try to take a shortcut. They're going to get lost. Those are my concerns. Public safety, parking, the noise level, everything that everybody else has just stated. This is my statement also.
Thank you. Other members of the public in the center here, if you'd please raise your hand so I can get an idea of. And okay, then we'll move down. There's a microphone right over, there's on both sides. Oh, there you go. It's a better camera angle.
Hi, my name is Nicole Kuntz. I live at 12 Mansion Road, so obviously I live right next to 10 Mansion Road. My husband and
If
I
you could
moved-
just please come just a little bit closer to the microphone, please.
I'm not good at this. My husband and I moved to Wallingford a few months ago. We moved right next door, obviously. We moved to Wallingford because it is known to be safe, family-friendly, quiet. Obviously, with what is proposed to be here, a lot of that will change. We wanted to come here, start a family, live a nice, quiet life. We are blessed to be starting a family. So as a new mom, that obviously brings a lot of concern about safety. So safety is going to be my biggest concern. This road is very unsafe. We actually installed a mirror across the road just because turning out of our driveway to go left is very dangerous. Yeah, and when I turn in from Hartford Turnpike, I literally turn my blinker on right away just because I do have to drive past 10 Mansion Road, but the cars are crazy. I wouldn't even want to walk a dog on that road. I agree with what everybody else said. With the noise, the generators, the food trucks, the movie theater, all of that, it's just going to disrupt what this residential neighborhood would like. It's what it is. It's a residential neighborhood. Building a commercial building to this extent is going to kind of change all of our lives. Again, garbage and litter. Right in our front yard, you see nips, you see chip bags. I think people just literally go around the corner, open their window, and just throw stuff. Think about adding dumpsters. Think about all of the food delivery trucks, all of that. Where's that garbage going to go? Also, if you walk out our backyard into that land right behind 10 Mansion, we went back there and picked up so much garbage. More garbage is going to come from where that restaurant is going to be, right back in there. That is our yard. What everybody else said, parking, we're the next door. So, somebody's parked right in front of the restaurant. We got to turn around. Where are they going to turn around? We're the first option. Again, safety for our family is what we're concerned about. That's about it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Again, anyone like to speak, please raise your hand so you can be recognized. Yes. And then we'll go back to the individual in the back there next.
My name is Mary Mashinsky. I'm state representative for the 85th District. I live at 188 South Cherry Street, Wallingford. I'm familiar with the site because constituents had previously asked me to look into shaving off that intersection of Mansion Road and Hartford Turnpike. They felt it was unsafe because they had to pull their car out onto Hartford Turnpike to see around that corner. Because it comes in at an angle. It's not a 90-degree intersection. And so I did look into that, and when I checked with the safety engineer, I learned that the basalt ridge that comes right down to Hartford Turnpike makes it impossible to fix that intersection unless the basalt is blown up and removed. And that would be a major project to take the basalt out of there. So it's just a difficult site to have a safe interaction with Hartford Turnpike because of the rock that's already there. I also looked at the site when the proposal was at Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission, And there are two ravines on the site. There's a large one which is not being touched, and there's a smaller one which feeds into the larger one. The smaller one, as I understand the application, is going to be filled, which will divert or push additional stormwater runoff and erosion into the larger ravine. And so, since I'm already dealing with other erosion problems on Cook Hill Road, I see this as a site that is potentially going to have similar problems to the site on Barrel Road and Cook Hill Road, where water is being diverted into away from where it normally goes into a ravine. It's a similar situation. Former town planner Linda Bush felt, for those reasons, that the lot was really not suitable for development because it does have these geologic issues with it that make it difficult to put a lot of development on the parcel. And then the third issue is that proposed use is likely to produce considerable water and wind-blown trash. Based on my experience with a similar restaurant down in New Haven, when I work on my river job, I do water sampling up and down from Wallingford to New Haven, and the food trucks in New Haven generate enormous quantities of debris. And every time I go down there to test, I can see the stuff blowing around. The trash cans can't even keep up with it. So if it's in your purview to require lidded trash and recycling receptacles, please do that, because we would not want what I saw in New Haven to happen in Wallingford. We would want this site to be secure, and also to require that the owner ensure that the trash receptacles are emptied frequently enough to avoid debris entering the site and then entering the stream and the neighborhoods. So thank you for considering these three issues as you deliberate. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to the individual way in the back.
Hi, my name is Mary Semino. I live at 145 Brentwood Drive.
Excuse me for a second. Does someone have their phone on? I can hear.
Oh my God, it's mine.
You're the guilty party. You're interrupting your own self. Please, again,
Anyhow,
please continue.
I live at 145 Brentwood Drive, and I've been there for 35 years, so I'm probably the oldest, or not oldest, but longest.
If you could, you need to come a little bit closer. I'm getting the ding so they just don't pick you up. No, it's from here telling me that they can't pick your voice up.
I'm really tired.
Just take your time.
So I'm probably the longest longevity person living in Brentwood at this time. It is my backyard. And I'm very emotional, probably because I'm tired. But I won't be able to sit on my porch at night, read a book, have a friend over, cook dinner outside with all that added noise, people, music. Everything on that road closes by 5 o'clock, except for the restaurant, which closes at 9:30, all the way at the other end, away from the residents. And the gas station closes at 10. If he's looking to be open when Oakdale Theater gets out at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, with outdoor music, what kind of life is that? We like to have our windows open. It's been a wonderful neighborhood. And you're just taking it all away. It could be a business, but how about something that's 9 to 5, like the credit union or a doctor's office, but a restaurant that creates so much more of everything. You could build 2 townhouses there for affordable housing. And people would snap it up like that. But a restaurant in people's backyards, I can look out my window and see the corner of Mansion and Hartford Turnpike. I see the Yale bicyclists riding all spring, summer, and fall. I see the motorcyclists doing fundraising poker runs, cutting through. Yale polo ponies use that road to transport their animals back and forth. The apple orchards transport their products back and forth. You're creating more of a problem, creating more of a hazard for people by allowing this type of business to be in our neighborhood. It's not that we're saying not in my neighborhood. It's the type of business that interferes with too many things and too many people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, anybody in the center row, any other members of the public in the center row that would like to speak? Going to move over to the left side. Individuals, if you'd please just raise your hand so I have an idea of. Okay.
I'm Sherilyn Paul Gill. I live at 3 Nodbrook Road, which is, again, up the street from where this restaurant wants to make their home. I've lived there for 26 years. My neighborhood is right up against Blue Hill Farms. The amount of water that rushes off Blue Hill and dumps into our small little cul-de-sac that runs down into the area where this restaurant will be is phenomenal. Yesterday, I had to park at my neighbor's house because my driveway was flooded. Only from the water just coming off the apple orchard. Nobody looks at that because no one thinks about the water a couple miles away that's going to flood into this area. I've lived there long enough to watch the house that the woman who just spoke was built. My first reaction was, whoever allowed a house to be built on this corner? There have probably been 6, 7, 8 different residents who've lived there. They only had to worry about how to get out of their driveway, not what's going to be in their backyard. Imagine sitting in your backyard and have a restaurant. Close enough for you to touch that guy right there, because that's how close it's going to be. I've watched people park on a weekend trying to go to the flea market. My neighbor worked for the credit union, parking in their area so that people couldn't even get into the ATM machine at the credit union because of the number of people who have parked to go to the flea market. That ended quickly when they started towing people. But that's where the overflow is going to go. I spend Fridays playing bingo at Holy Trinity. And we have to avoid trying to park on the backside because of the overflow from the restaurant across the street, which uses Holy Trinity parking, even though there's signs that says owners will be towed unless you are going to the church. Nobody cares, because that's our new life. There's a sign, who cares? Park there anyway. The wildlife that is in my yard has increased in the past 10 years to bobcats, coyotes, who normally never came out of the orchard, but they now venture down. I've had numerous cats killed. Neighbors have had dogs taken. So now when you open a restaurant where there's more food, where are all these animals going to go? They're going to now venture down into your neighborhood because they smell the food. The skunks that are just around the apple orchard, they're going to venture farther down. I mean, yeah, there's a great property right down the street that's been vacant for how many years since we took down all those nasty old houses or hotels, whatever they were. Build it there, right across from Oakdale. You'll get more business than you'll ever know. As far as Quinnipiac, I've worked there. Quinnipiac has a joint partnership with Enchiladas, the same food this restaurant wants to serve. They supply their students with buses to go safely to this restaurant and safely home. They don't need to come down Mansion Road. I leave my house every morning to go to work. I have to come out Landmark. I look up Mansion Road to a corner by the apple orchard. I can barely see the cars coming down. I can look and see nobody there. By the time I complete my turn, there's a car right on my butt who has flied down that hill 50, 60 miles an hour. We all know it. I've almost been rear-ended so many times. Going to work in the morning, what's it going to be like in the evening when these college kids are going to race down the hill? All I can say is take some time to come out to our neighborhood and see what we deal with, because it's not a safe road. The cops used to be on it. They're not anymore. Now they stay out on Hartford Turnpike, because that road, it's a 40 mile an hour. Try someone who's not going 60. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, any other members of the public on the left side here that would like to speak, please raise your hand. Yeah, I don't see anyone else. Just to give everyone who hasn't, you've already, I think we've given you the opportunity to speak. Certainly you can come back next month. Is there anyone who hasn't spoken that would like to come up and speak? Just raise your hand first. Okay, I think this, if you please just come up to the microphone, if you would, please.
Irene Kawarko, 75 Brentwood Drive. I just have a question. All this testimony that we heard today, does that have to be repeated in February, March, April, or however long this is going to be continued? Or how are you going to remember the emotion and all the facts that were presented tonight?
Sure. Well, first, we have a recording secretary who takes excellent notes on everything. So those minutes would be available to the members of the commission. In addition, I think as you're aware, this is recorded. So certainly commission members or any members of the public that would like to see this meeting played back certainly has the ability to do that. So all of your comments certainly would not be lost, and if people would like to reiterate their same comments at the next meeting, they're certainly able to do that. But certainly I would encourage people, if they have new information, to bring that information forward.
Just the emotion that was shown, and I live near there, but I was affected more than I had been by some of these comments, and I would hate to see that impact lost in the coming months?
Sure.
You know, unless people want to say the same things that they said today, would they have that option?
You know, certainly people would have, it's a public hearing, so the members of the public, you know, have the opportunity to speak and, you know, voice their concerns. I think the comments are certainly not lost on the commission. I've served with these individuals for quite some time. I think everyone is very attentive to what's being said, and I think also take into the emotion that goes into it. People do have the opportunity to speak again. If they, you know, choose to repeat themselves, I would ask them to be a little bit more brief. If they want to read something that the commission already has had, I certainly request that that be greatly abbreviated.
Thank you for that.
Again, we're not trying to eliminate, you know, the ability of the members of the public to come, speak, ask their questions, and, you know, and hopefully there's been questions that have been asked this evening. Again, the applicant had indicated that they're not in a position this evening to address those questions, but believe me, they've been written down. I can see that the attorneys here have been writing those questions down, so they would be or should be in a position to answer those questions and provide some additional information. If they're not, I'm sure commission members have been writing those questions down and would look to have those addressed.
The only thing I'd like to add is that we pay taxes to our property values, contribute to the tax base in Wallingford too.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't see that there's anyone else that would like to comment on this application this evening. I know I would generally go back to the applicant to say if they'd like to comment, but I believe their attorney made it clear that they would like to reserve those comments as well as answers to some of the questions raised by the public. I'll just go to the commission members. To the commission members at this point, I know we've received a lot of information from the public, some questions from the public. Certainly we've received quite a bit of correspondence, whether it be from the applicant, the public, from our town departments. At this point in time, does any commission members have anything specific they would like to address with the applicant? And seeing none, Mr. Pagini, anything additional that you would like?
Can I just make a quick note? I did a deep dive into the history of the zoning of the property, and the R18 was changed in roughly 1986, 1987. I do have documentation on that, so that's the only, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I guess it, yes.
Chair, I'm sorry. The only thing I just wanted, I can't help myself, but the only thing I wanted just to add before you make a motion to continue, is I would just encourage, I mean, you all have sat on this commission for a long time. You know that although you heard an awful lot about a site plan application that's not before you this evening, and the issues that relate to that, your Corporation Counsel has given you, I thought, a pretty decent memorandum. It's 503-23L, indicating the sort of issues that are addressed as part of the zone change, and that's what we'll be presenting next month.
Good. Thank you. So at this particular point in time, I'd entertain a motion to continue our public hearing to next month.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we continue application 503-23, zoning change R18 to DD40, Lost and Found Ventures, LLC, 10 Mansion Road, to our February Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And again, just to make it clear for the public, it's a continuation of the public hearing, so certainly you'll be able to provide additional comments should you choose.
Thank you.
Thank you. It would be our second, well, it's, is it the second?
It's
Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So it's Valentine's Day, the 14th. No need to bring flowers.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I don't mean to rush anyone out of the chambers, but we do have some additional applications to be heard this evening.
Flick the lights.
The next item on our agenda, it's a public hearing. It's number 2. It's a special permit for 5 aircraft hangars on Wallingford side, Meriden Markham Airport, City of Meriden, 213 Evansville Avenue. And if the applicant would please come forward to prepare for the presentation. And Mr. Allenson, if you please read the legal notice and note all correspondence for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 401-24, excuse me for speaking up, I'm just trying to cover over the crowd. Special permit request for City of Meriden, Connecticut to construct 5 new aircraft hangars at Meriden Markham Airport located at Hanover Street, R18 Residential District. We have correspondence to Meriden Markham Airport from our town planner, Kevin Pagini, dated December 28th, 2023. We have an interdepartmental referral dated receipt December 11th, 2023 from, I believe it's Aaron O'Hara, our environmental planner. We have email correspondence from Jim Seichter to Amy Torrey, dated January 4th, 2024. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not for me, that's from
It's correspondence forwarded by Jim Seichter, but it's correspondence from Robert Jake Sr. I apologize.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. We have an interoffice memorandum from Scott Shipman, Senior Engineer, to Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated December 20th, 2023. We have an interdepartmental referral from Allison Kapuscinski, Town Engineer, dated receipt December 11th, 2023. An interdepartmental referral from Allison Kapuscinski, Town Engineer. Looks like the same one, just 2 different exhibit numbers. But I could be wrong. A second one from Allison Kapuscinski, Town Engineer, dated receipt December 11th, 2023. A site plan and a revised site plan dated, I have 2 different receipt dates. One is dated January 3rd, 2024, and one is received on January 5th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Allenson. As the applicant, please introduce themselves and begin the presentation.
Good evening. I'm Constance Castillo. I'm with the City of Meriden. I'm the airport manager at Meriden Markham Airport.
And I'm good evening. I'm Mark Poole, the chair of the Aviation Commission at the airport.
Okay.
So we're seeking approval for a special permit to build 5 additional hangars on the Wallingford side of the airport. These hangars are going to be strictly cold storage for general aviation aircraft. We currently have 30 pilots on a waiting list to be housed in hangars. Right now, this is part of an original plan that dates back to 2006. We had been granted a special permit that was approved for 40 hangars on the airport in the same footprint that entitled 4 buildings. For various reasons, back in early 2006 and on, these buildings weren't built. The city did apply for extensions twice. We were granted 2 extensions up until July 10th of 2020. In 2019, the airport approached the City Council and the Town of Meriden approved funding for the project. In 2019, we were able to build 2 buildings that house 20 hangars. So this application is a new application to continue the project, and we're only looking to build 5 hangars. Since then, the city has put a solar panel, solar farm on the airport, which did take up some of the field for our original proposal for 40 hangars. Project's estimated to be about $671,000. We do have a federal grant that we're planning to use from the FAA that'll pay for 90% of this. Part of the funding will come from the Connecticut Airport Authority through the state, and the balance of the funding, about $27,000, will come from the city of Meriden. One of the hangars is estimated to be about 48 by 48 feet, 1 box hangar. The second building will be 4 individual hangars, so it'll be 42 feet by 34 feet. So last year, within the last 5 years, we've completed just about all of the improvements at the airport. We've rehabilitated all of our surfaces, which includes our runway, our taxiway, all of our aprons, our lighting, all of our obstruction clearing, and a new fuel station. Just a little background on the airport. We're a municipal airport. We're non-towered. We have no scheduled commercial flights in and out of the airport. The only 2 airports in the state that do have commercial flights are Bradley International and Tweed New Haven. We cater to recreational pilots and flight training. We do have some charters that come in and out of the airport. These charters cater to local businesses and some of the schools, which include Choate, Quinnipiac, Wesleyan University. We do have 2 businesses on the field, both of which are in the Meriden side. One is a flight school, and one is a mechanic, a maintenance shop. We have 3 flight clubs on the field. Silver City Flight Club goes back to the 1950s. We have a Civil Air Patrol Squadron at the airport. Silver City Cadet Squadron teaches aerospace and leadership to kids from 12 to 18 years old. They also provide search and rescue for the state of Connecticut and support federal agencies such as the Coast Guard, FEMA, Red Cross, and provide storm assessment along with search and rescue. We have a strong EA chapter that provides youth flights for ages 8 to 17. We do a lot of community services, especially for the youth. In closing, we respect the community's concern, if there is any, over an increase in traffic and noise. By building these hangars, we're strictly providing cold storage to pilots who have their aircraft outside on the field to be housed inside. Thank you.
Sure, for the benefit of the members of the public, I know you didn't come with any charts or your maps, but if you could put that up on the easel and just identify where, just for the members of the public that are here this evening as well as people that may be viewing this, exactly where you're proposing to put the just put it right up there if you would. And sir, if you could take the microphone also, there's one right on the, it's a hand microphone. Yeah.
One, two, check, check. Okay, here we go. So here's the overall airport layout with the runway, the north end. This is the south end, the Wallingford side of the airport, which is the line is here, sort of in the middle of the airport. The proposed hangars are the next phase from the T hangars here between the solar array and the project that we finished in the last year or so. There's the box and then the 4 smaller boxes in a line that are going to basically use the same taxiway, the existing taxiway that's already part of the first phase of the project.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll leave this exhibit here for now.
It's probably going to fall.
Okay.
No, you can go back. Excuse me? Sure. Sir, if you would,
Hanover Road is here on the east side of the airport, along the east side, north to south.
thank you. I take it that concludes your presentation for the moment, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Members of the, well, first of all, Mr. Bugini, any comments on the application?
I just wanted to remind the applicant that I would require an A2 survey of the entire site as a condition of approval.
Commission members with questions for the applicant. Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm having a math problem. The application on the application itself says 6 hangars. The latest map actually has 6 hangars listed. So, you identified the 4 against the 1 unit, then right next to it there's a 48 by 48, but way over on the other side is a proposed 62 by 62 box hanger. So adding those all together, I get 6, which technically that's what the application says. But, you've only talked about 5, so.
That's correct. There has been a revision to the plan. That 6 hangar is under a different permit. That's a private hangar that's being built by one of our existing tenants that has another private hangar on the Meriden side. So that falls under a separate permit. Our engineers made a notation that that's a proposed hangar that's permitted separately from this application.
Okay, that's fine. Again, on the permit itself for us, though, it does say 6.
I corrected that with Mr. Pagini.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent her a letter asking her to remove the 6th hangar from the plans dated December 28th because it was approved in 2017 as a private hangar.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Sorry for the confusion.
Other commission members with questions? Could you just get into just kind of the hours of operation, of the airport?
Sure. Our terminal building's open 9 to 5. In the summer, we have extended hours, 9 to 7, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, weather permitting. However, we are a public use airport. We have a self-service fuel station, so we are open. The runway is open 24/7. Typically, most traffic is done during daylight hours, though.
And what types of aircraft, fly there?
We're
I know it's all private, but as far
it's considered generally aviation, basically single engine, some twin engines, 4-seater, 6-seater planes for private use, recreational private. Flight schools does training. Other flight schools from different airports come into our airport just to do practice as well. We don't have any scheduled charter service. However, charters do come in and out to drop off passengers, pick them up, but they don't operate out of the airport.
How many planes are housed there right now, and how many tie-down areas do you have?
We have capacity for 70 tie-downs on our ramps. We have 3 different ramps. One of our biggest ramps is in Wallingford, which we just repaved. We currently have 61 tenants. It's about 50-50 as far as how many tenants are based in Meriden and how many tenants are based in Wallingford. Even though 90% of the airport is located on Wallingford property, we have more buildings in Meriden. So we have more hangars and more capacity for aircraft to be stored on the Meriden side. So it's about maybe 31 aircraft in Wallingford, about 27 in Meriden.
Okay. And then with these hangars, as far as how many aircraft would you have be able to be stored, housed, whatever, tied down in Wallingford?
In the 5 hangars?
Yes, that's correct.
They're going to be 32 by 42. Typically, that fits 1 aircraft. There could be 2 small experimental aircraft if one's high wing, one's low wing. But basically, it's planned for 1 aircraft.
Oh, so
per
each
hangar.
one of these would just be for 1 aircraft, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. You know, this is a public hearing. Members of the public that would like to speak on the application, you would please raise your hand so I can get an idea of who would like to speak, and we'll start with this individual in the back. Sir, if you please come forward with your name and address and then your comments.
My name is Mike DeGennaro. I live at 128 Grove Street Extension. I've lived near the airport for pretty much the majority of my life. I'm 58 years old this year. You were saying that these hangars are going to be 5 additional, but you have 30 people on a waiting list. Does that mean you plan on storing 30 more aircraft, or are these aircraft already there? The amount of traffic, unless I'm delusional, has increased. Lately, I've seen it numerous times now. You've had a large twin prop. I mean, when I say large, it's large. I don't know why it's even allowed to land there. It seems way too big for the area. Again, I knew what I was moving next to when I built my house in '94, but it was a quaint and quiet airport back then. I remember going to the first hearings when they wanted to put the hangars in, and then they got delayed forever, and was assured then that they probably wouldn't be building any more hangars. So that's it. I don't mind having the airport as my neighbor. I just don't want to see increased more of traffic. Where you say that you're operate mostly in the daylight hours, I disagree with that. I'll wake up at 1 in the morning with the strobe lights flashing through my windows of my house, whether it's a plane just flying over, clicking them on, or one landing in those wee hours of the day. There's also helicopters that will sit down there and buzz our neighborhoods for hours on end, and they just take off, go, come back, keep going back and forth. I want to be a good neighbor. I hope that the airport will still be a good neighbor. What does the town of Wallingford benefit from this? Are there any benefits? Is the town financially getting anything from this? I don't think the town should if it's going to affect anybody in this room's quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you'd like to address some of the comments that the gentleman made, please.
Sure.
Or some of the questions.
So out of the 30 that are on the waiting list, there's a huge shortage of hangars in Connecticut. Every airport has a waiting list. The waiting list that I have, these hangars are going to be offered to existing tenants. I have more than 5 tenants on the airport already who house their aircraft on the ramp. So they're outside in the elements. We live in New England. Everybody knows we get snow, we get ice, we get sleet. Even sunshine affects the avionics in an aircraft. And tenants are willing to pay more to be in a hangar than they are to be on a ramp. So no, I'm not offering these to more than 5 of the probably existing tenants are going to be offered these hangars first. As far as revenue, I have to report to the Connecticut Airport Authority every year which tenants are on the Wallingford side versus the Meriden side, and both towns do collect a set revenue from each tenant, a registration fee. It's about $95 or $100 per aircraft. So Wallingford does get that taxation from the airport.
Is there any, and again, you mentioned it, the airport operates essentially 24/7. Is there any way for the airport to put restrictions as far as when planes land? Obviously, commercial airports have certain restrictions as far as after some 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever it may be at night. No more planes, can can land or take off. Does the airport have that option to be able to do that?
Not exactly. We take federal funding, so we have to be a public use airport and to be open. That would probably involve some type of restriction or zoning through the town.
I suspect other airports receive federal funding. I mean, you can't fly out of Reagan National until, after 11 o'clock, 11:30, something like that. I suspect they get federal funding.
I think that's that might be due to commercial aspect.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
that probably would be an FAA question. We could certainly take a look at that.
I would appreciate if you do that. Other members of the public? Anyone on this side, in the center? Yes, we'll go to this gentleman over here.
Thank you. Get this up here. Mark Scott. I am tenant at the airport. I'm also president of the EAA Chapter 27, Experiment Aircraft Association, at the airport. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our chapter and what we do at the airport and how that relates to the application you've got in front of you. So we're a community organization. We offer a host of flying, building, and educational benefits to the community. We've been at the airport since 1956. We are recognized by the IRS as a 501c3. We're a nonprofit organization. We can take donations and give people tax deduction capability on that. All donations we get go directly into public events, scholarships, and educational opportunities. Our chapter is open to anybody who wants to join. It's open to the public. We have many members that are non-aircraft owners and non-pilots, so it's a bunch of aviation enthusiasts. We are very involved at the airport. We are involved with many airport events, public events. These have included a fly-in festivals. We had a tailwind fly-in attended by the public last year. There was a 5K run the runway road race. 230 participants got to run up and down the runway. They enjoyed it a great bit. We participated in that. There are chapter picnics, again, open to the public, and we have actually set up picnic tables at the airport, right at the office, and people can come there and bring their lunch or dinner and watch airplanes, talk to pilots. So it's a very open, believe me, if you want to go see it, it's open. Come take a look. We do a lot of educational activities. We do hands-on building workshops. We have many school and youth organization tours. We sponsored a couple of day camps last year. We also have done aviation merit badges for troops, and in fact, several troops from Wallingford participated in taking the aviation merit badge out with us last fall. One of the big things we do is get kids excited about aviation and flying, and in turn that gets them excited about math and science. And we've done this quite a bit. Since 1993, we have flown 3,300 kids, one at a time, at the airport, all one at a time, free of charge. We do this twice a year at rallies, and we do this on an ad hoc basis when we get questions. If you want to see a kid get excited about something, watch them come take a ride. So if you have any interest, know anybody that wants to go for a ride, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to do it. We also mentor student pilots. There's a national $11,000 scholarship that has started up recently. We are mentoring pilots. We're on our fourth one. We currently have two that are going to have graduated from the scholarship program, going to become airline pilots, and we have another one at the U.S. Air Force Academy. So we're doing that now. This coming year, we plan to offer our own scholarship to help somebody finish their flight training. And our most notable achievement back in 2016 to 2020, we had 24 high school kids build an FAA-certified airplane at the airport. If you want to see kids learn about reading plans and math and science and organization and working with their hands, that's what we did. And that plane is still flying at Meriden Airport. So that's the kind of stuff we do. So we're open to anybody who wants to join. If you want to learn anything about aviation, we have resources. So why am I bringing this up? None of this happens without a good airport. We are there. We have a great crew of people that do this. Back in the 1990s, the airport was neglected. None of this kind of stuff happened back then. Hangars were dilapidated, not much care for the buildings, not much care for the grounds. We've been working with the city, working with the FAA, and steadily over the last 10, 20 years, got the airport to a very nice state. When you have the airport that's nice, people come, and people is what makes the EAA go, and that's what makes these things happen. So the completion of the hangar project is just the final step in the hangar project, as you heard earlier. And it's just, the final step of keeping the airport up, and just these incremental things that keep the airport better and better, keep people coming in, keep people coming to our chapter, and get us enthusiasm for doing these kinds of things for the community. So I'd like you to approve the application, just one more step in keeping the airport up and nice and these things happening.
Thank you, sir. Any other members of the public? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Linda D'Onofrio. I live at 115 Grove Street Extension. I agree wholeheartedly with Mike, the gentleman that spoke, that he lives practically on the runway. The amount of helicopters, let me back up. I've only lived there for 2.5 years. In 2.5 years, I have seen a great influx of larger planes, helicopters constantly buzzing. You can hear them sometimes at 5:30 in the morning. Don't know if they're helicopters or airplanes sitting on the runway, just running their engines. Sorry, I'm a car person. It's getting louder, and the amount of helicopters it's incredible. I moved from Milford. I moved here, very quiet neighborhood. I knew about the airport. I like the airport. I've always known it was there, but as Mike said, there's some pretty big, substantial planes flying in there now. And I'd like that to be considered. And also, is there going to be a change in the runway? The flight patterns?
Excuse me. The application right now is simply for these hangars. So there's nothing before us to change the runway.
Or the flight patterns?
Well, we'll ask the applicant.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. As far as flight paths, I would...
Flight pattern is designated by the FAA. It's left-hand traffic. We have a north and a south runway, 18 and 36. The wind determines which runway the pilots land on.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, the 5 hangars are simply for 5 aircraft, correct? There's 1 aircraft in each hangar. What size aircraft can those hangars accommodate? Generally.
Cessna 172, Cessna 182, 4-seater planes. Depends on their wingspan.
So they're mostly single engine or primarily single engine that would be in there?
Correct.
And again, you mentioned that as far as the 5 hangars that you're building, it's for people who have their planes at the airport right now, is that correct?
Correct. They're existing tenants that
So
are
they're
out
existing
on the ramp.
tenants.
Or they may be in a community hangar shared with 5 other aircraft. We have 3 community hangars on the Meriden side. Some pilots prefer to be in a single hangar where they don't have to move other aircraft to get their aircraft out.
So as far as if you would anticipate an increase in the number of planes being at the airport, it would seem that, if any, it would be on the tie-down area, and there wouldn't seem to be, I guess what I'm driving at, this wouldn't seem to increase in a real notable number, the number of aircraft that are on the airport and would be using the airport on a permanent basis, forgetting flights, people coming in and out. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Correct. Building these hangars will have no influence on the traffic that comes in and out of the airport.
Any members of the commission with questions for the applicant? Sure, if you'd like to come to the microphone with your name and comments.
Good evening to the commission. My name is Greg Sock. I live at 3 Far Horizon Drive. Been a resident of Wallingford for about 5 years, and I moved to Wallingford because of the proximity to the airport. I'm a lifelong pilot. I'm a 3rd-generation aviator. My wife and I both are aerospace professionals, and it was important to us to be in a community that had a good airport where we could get a hangar someday when we bought an airplane. The hangars became available. We did buy an airplane. We were borrowing airplanes before that, but it really speaks to how good of an airport you guys have in this community, and it really needs to be realized. This is, bar none, the best general aviation airport in New England, and it's really a gift to the community that it's here. I know some other people spoke about how this is a great thing get the community involved. They do a lot of outreach down there. It goes beyond that group. everybody that I know down at the airport is constantly bringing people down, introducing them to the airport, showing what we do, introducing them to STEM activities for kids. A friend and I, one night last summer, we knew a couple people whose kids were interested in flying. We flew like 8 kids on a Friday evening and they had a barbecue. I mean, this is the kind of outreach what we're doing. It's not just people down there making noise. It's people really down there caring about the community and trying to do what's best. I'm excited having a daughter that I can give her hands-on STEM experience. And so when she kind of moves through her journey and grows up, that she can look back at this and she can actually see the opportunities that are afforded to her that maybe weren't afforded to people previous. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Good enough. Thank you, sir. Again, any other members of the public who would like to comment? Yes, the gentleman in the back. Is there anyone else that would like to comment, or we can have this gentleman be the last members of the public commenting?
Yes. My name is Dan Lavelle. I live at 7 Chimney Hill Road, and I've lived at this location for basically all my life. The only concern that I have is the noise. When I'm at the end of the runway, and when the planes come over, some of them are just so quiet, and some of them are just so noisy. And I know, like, when you have a car and you don't have a muffler on it, it makes a lot of noise. And this is what I have a problem with. I'm in my backyard enjoying myself, and I hear these planes come over. And these things really shake me up. And I'm a little upset because when you have a car without a muffler, why not these planes have a muffler? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why some are quiet, some are loud. I don't know if they can talk to this at all. So thank you.
Okay. Perhaps if you'd like to address that, if you could.
Certainly, yeah. Well, most aircraft engines that are at the or aircraft that are at the airport are piston engines. They all are required to have mufflers on them. There's a number of different engine designs that can be louder or less loud. The quietest of the aircraft would be turboprops, which you do have coming in and out from time to time, which is a jet attached to the propeller, and that's going to be quiet. If you have a high-performance aircraft piston, they still are required, and they're inspected on a regular basis to be under, at spec for the muffler and exhaust system on that engine. But depending on the design, there are different decibel levels on these different piston engines.
All right, thank you. Again, I'll just go back to the commission. Anybody with questions? Yes.
I have two. So one of them you mentioned about the 5 hangars and that's going to existing owners. I wasn't clear though, were you losing tie-down spaces, or is this an additional, basically you're moving owners into that, but there's still the existing 70 tie-down spaces, so there will become more spaces available for more aircraft?
Correct. There are existing tie-downs available. There's not a demand for tie-downs in Connecticut. I get phone calls probably every week or every other week, and emails from pilots all over the state, even out of state, looking for hangars. Nobody calls me looking for a tie-down, unfortunately. We do provide tie-downs for overnight, what we call transient aircraft. We provide tie-downs for aircraft that come in for holidays, visiting family from out of state, who might stay for a weekend or maybe up to a week. So we do have tie-downs available for transients.
We've had a surplus of tie-downs for years, so it's not that moving 5 into the hangars would open up for more planes to come in.
There was a note from environmental concerned about losing, I believe the quote was arable property, but basically surface drainage. And I didn't walk down to the airport and look just today, but on I believe it was the 30th of December, we had some very heavy rain, and I was out in the area by the street over where the 62 by 62 hangar is that's not part of this group of 5. There are some roadway drainage areas out on the Meriden side, but not very much on the Wallingford side. There was a tremendous amount of water there, and several of the other hangars in that group do not appear to have any connection to underground drainage. And I would say that it sounds like there's some concerns from environmental about water runoff. And was wondering, is there anything that's being done in the plans to mitigate that?
All of the drainage, yes, is being planned by the engineers. The airport is mostly sand. We have a lot of dry wells that are on the airport. Some of the flooding that you saw, we recently, the project where we recently repaved and rehabilitated the south apron and did a taxiway in front of those 60 by 60 hangars. The contractor had put filter socks in the drains so that the soil wouldn't flow in because the grass hadn't grown in yet. We asked them to remove those. Those filter socks were actually causing flooding. So we've since removed those. We're going to have to go out and reseed and re-landscape those islands come spring.
Just say that I saw significant flooding there when I walked the area out by the roadway, and we really can't walk inside the airport to see, but I would, if environmental has some concerns, I think I would share those as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Mr. Pacini, this was reviewed by our environmental planner, correct?
Yeah, yes, it was administratively approved.
So it was approved administratively by...
correct.
So those issues have been, have been looked at by the environmental planner.
And I believe there may have been requirements in the 2017 approvals for that hangar, so I would have to check that file, see what was approved.
Just one last question from me. Just curious, how many planes can you accommodate with these 5 hangars if they were approved? How many planes, in fact, could be in hangars? Just curious.
In these hangars?
No, in total, all the hangars that you have on site.
We have 3 community hangars, which can accommodate up to 5 planes. Those are all on the Meriden side. I have 8 box hangars on the Meriden side that accommodate 1 aircraft each. We've got...
You're keeping totals of this, correct?
I have done the math, but I don't have it in front of me. We have 10 T hangars that can only house 1 aircraft each, which is in Wallingford. That's part of the 20 that we built back in 2019. And then we've got another 10 hangars that we built where they do share up to 2 aircraft. Not in all of them. Some have single aircraft and some have 2 in each. So on the Wallingford side, that would be about 30 aircraft that could be hangared.
All right. Thank you. Again, seeing that there's no additional comments from commission members, Mr. Pagini, you have no comments?
I just have the one comment, just
Okay.
to add, revise the motion to add the comments from the fire marshal's office. He was not able to get me a comment by the end of today, but he did say that he was going to send one because he was working with the City of Meriden fire marshal on some language and discussion. So if I could just add that to the motion.
Okay, thank you. And again, before I close the public hearing, if you folks would like to make any final comments, certainly you're not obligated to do that if you felt like you completed your presentation.
Appreciate your time reviewing everything.
Yeah, I
Approval.
see a gentleman. I'll give you the... sir, if you could please come to the microphone. And your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Apuzzo. I'm on Grove Street, 130, with Mike and Linda over there. I was just wondering if we could have a better view of that map. Because if you have five hangars, 48 by 48, it's like 2,300 square feet, and then the 43 by 32s, call it 1,500. You're looking at, what, 9,000 square footage of construction here? How much, like, can we see, like, the acreage? Like
Here,
how
sir,
far-
if you'd like to come up, you can,
Can I kind of
just take-
pass it around, though, to people? So other
here, you
people
could
can
take,
see?
sure, you could take this,
The plan will show it's only 8,000 square feet of hangar. There's only one building that's 48 by 48.
oh, you can take that with you.
You can have a few of them if you want.
Okay, if you please, again, name and address.
115 Grove Street Extension, Linda D'Onofrio. I heard on the news that Meriden Airport was chosen by some government agency to perhaps become a taxi airport for electric planes.
No, let's not have a conversation between the members of the public.
She was
Just-
telling me Acre Aviation. So is there any merit to this comment that I heard, and is that going to happen, and how will that affect us?
If the applicant would like to comment on that.
Sure. That comment is incorrect. We have not been chosen by any company to offer a charter service. There was a company that had proposed, had spoken to all of the airports in Connecticut about the possibility of putting in air taxi for what's called the eVTOL, which is a future electric takeoff and landing aircraft, which is not even approved by the FAA. This is so far futuristic. This company was looking to secure contracts with small airports so that they could secure the terminal space. We listened.
Is that something that would have to be approved by planning and zoning in Wallingford, if it were to come to pass?
No.
No. Okay, thank you.
With that, I don't see any more comments from the public. The applicant has completed their application. No further comments from commission members. At this point in time, I'd entertain a motion to close our public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close the public hearing for application 401-24, special permit 5 aircraft hangars on Wallingford side, Meriden Markham Airport, City of Meriden, 213 Evansville Ave.
Second.
We have a second on the motion to close the public hearing, voting with Mr. Cohan.
Yes.
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 And yes, and now I'll entertain a motion on the application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 401-24, special permit revision, Meriden Markham Airport, a special permit revision request and site plan approval to construct 5 new aircraft hangars at Meriden Markham Airport on plans entitled Site Plan South Hangar Construction, Meriden Markham Airport, dated December 8, 2023, and revised to January 2nd, 2024, subject to 1, comments from Aaron O'Hare, environmental planner, dated 12/27/23. 2, comments from the town planner, dated 12/28/23. 3, comments from senior engineer Scott Shipman, Water and Sewer Division, dated 12/20/23. 4, erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $3,500. 5, 6 final plans of the entire site in A2 survey format forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and 6 recommended comments from the Wallingford Fire Marshal.
Do we have a motion on the application? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Fitzsimmons. Voting beginning with Mr. Cohan, please.
Yes.
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 And yes, the application's been approved. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it brings us up to our next item on the agenda. It's continuation of public hearing. It's a zoning text amendment for electric vehicle charging facilities, GEM Property Group, WI Zone. As I had recused myself at the prior 2 meetings on this, Mr. Benoit, you will please take charge.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, Mr. Acting Chairman, I too need to excuse myself from this application.
This will be a quick acting. Mr. Cohen, would you mind being the vice chair? Thank you very much. And Mr. Parent, would you be willing to vote on this application? All right, perfect. Thank you. So the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Happy New Year.
I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. I goofed. I jumped the ball. Mr. Secretary, can I have you read in for the minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. Sorry to interrupt.
Soon not be.
We have a correspondence to the Planning and Zoning Commissioners from the Economic Development Commission dated December 26, 2023, from Hank Bohm. We have correspondence to Gem Property Group from Kevin Pagini, Town Planner, dated December 28, 2023. And I believe we have a set of revised site plans dated December 8, 2023. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The applicant like to talk
Okay.
through their application, please.
Sure, thank you. Again, my name's Elizabeth Verna. I live at 26 Mapleview Road. I represent Gem Property Group located at 101 North Plains Industrial Road. Last month, at the November meeting, I asked for a continuance because we didn't have a quorum, and it was granted, and we're here today to continue the public hearing. We are, and I've submitted some of this prior in the November meeting, but I'm just going to reiterate it for some other people that are here this evening. We are requesting a text amendment to the Wallingford zoning regulations, and more specifically, we're asking for an additional text to be added to section 4.10B, Watershed Interchange District, and section 2.2, definitions. We would like to propose a new use in section 4.10B called 4.10B16, electrical vehicle charging facility. And in section 2.2, we would like to add the definition of what an electrical vehicle charging facility is. The revision of 12.8.23 also, I think everyone has that, addresses the parking, which was brought up by engineering, that we needed to address parking. So we did do that. The Watershed Interchange District, the purpose of it is to utilize land with accessibility to Interstate Route 91 located in the Wallingford Watershed Protection District in a manner designed to best protect the town's public drinking water supply resources while allowing low-intensity uses and emerging technological development, which I think that these amendments address. In addition to the definition of what the WI zone should be, this amendment conforms with the Plan of Conservation and Development, specifically page 24, where I didn't submit this. Should I give it to you, Kevin? Under goals in the Wallingford Plan of Conservation and Development, it's to promote energy conservation through town operations, infrastructure, and services, support efforts to provide electrical vehicle charging stations at key facilities, including retail hubs, large offices, town parking facilities, and NHHS train station. So in the application, I also included a conceptual site plan, and that demonstrates what could be built under the current reg and what we are proposing to build, possibly. Again, this is not a site plan approval, so there is no design. And it shows the maximum number of stations that would be permitted. You have received documentation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, they provided a sign-off sheet that indicated fire, health, inland wetlands, had no comment on the application. The electric department said that the only concern that they had was that the applicant meet with them prior to a site plan approval, and water and sewer supported the addition of the EV facility. And they are the ones that brought up the issue about parking, which we amended in December. Engineering was in favor of it. We also, I think it was Mr. Cohen who had a question about notifying adjacent towns and if we were within that 500 feet, which we confirmed that we're not. And economic development and planning and zoning were in favor of the application, provided that it was a special permit. At this point, do you all have the 12/8/23 electrical vehicle charging facility with the additional parking language? You have that, okay. So I guess that's...
Just for the commissioners, 502-23H.
Okay. This is new and uncharted, not only to Wallingford, but honestly to the state of Connecticut. Having a facility that is solely EV charging, not as a secondary or accessory use. And after I heard comments from the public, there was a gentleman last time who brought up a concern and thought that it should be a special permit. And, you know, I thought about it, and not only would I like to reflect in the record that I would be open to having it be approved under a special permit, the reason being twofold, that it is new, and I think it would give the public and the commission a level of comfort if they were allowed to review the application under special permit. But also, I think that feedback may benefit us as the developer on what this may look like. It is the first in the state. I do not know of one other facility that has been presented or proposed. And in fact, I don't think there's been any planning and zoning regs that have been submitted to 169 towns. This would be new for the state of Connecticut. And we're being proactive, free market, identifying that there's a need for electrical vehicle charging stations and supplying that need. That's basically my presentation. I hope that you look favorably upon it, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the commissioners. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Allenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clear the record, I misspoke. I referenced a set of site plans for this application. They are not with this application. Apologies for the record. I'm a little scrambly today. Just more of a comment based on the applicant's.
So you want to do me a favor and then read them in? Might as well read the ones in, right?
No, they were read in and they should not be on this application. So there is the site plan that was mentioned is not part of this application. Apologies. And then just a comment, Mr. Chairman, based on the applicant's comment regarding the special permit, I would be in agreement with that. I think it gives the commission, the community, flexibility to kind of adjust as the market and, plan of conservation and development sees fit, town sees fit. I think that that's a smart move. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Hines?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would just echo those comments as well. I love the idea. I really do. And But I also like the idea of a special permit, just to be cautious and give ourselves some flexibility moving forward. But overall, I love the idea. I do.
Thank you. Commissioner Cohan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to correct a couple things. That regional planning meeting, technically, it's the district itself which has to fall within 500 feet of the neighboring town. So technically, you did fall into that category. And the Regional Planning Commission, said there was no impact. So you're squared away, but that, just to dot the I, cross the T. I am basically in favor of this. However, I'm a little concerned with, the retail aspect of this. You're proposing a 3,000 square foot retail operation as part of this. And in my mind, that retail operation is going to be, bread, soda, coffee, things like that, things that you would normally see in a, gas station or a rest stop. Is that how you see that retail operation?
Well, yes, I hope it's a higher-end retail convenience location, but currently the charging times for these vehicles, the fast charge right now is the fastest would be 20 minutes. So people need convenience facilities. The reason I proposed the 3,000 is because it exists in your regulations right now in that zone. So I didn't propose 10,000, I didn't propose 5,000. I really wanted to keep it within what you guys have already decided and determined is acceptable in that zone. I imagine it's a convenience facility, restrooms, some type of food, but it is not going to be a restaurant, for example, which is located in the hotels right now. There are actual restaurants where patrons sit. This would be more of a get a water, get a coffee. There will not be a proposed drive-through, so it's not going to be something like that.
Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks.
Right. It may be Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. I'm not sure. I don't want to commit to who it would be. I know it's not going to be me selling coffee because I don't make a good cup, but it will not have a drive-through.
Okay. So basically the reason I bring this up is that, the Watershed Interchange District, we're trying to limit, activity in there.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of traffic that's going through there. And, if there was an expanded use of that retail operation, I think that in itself may attract more traffic than just, cars coming in to get charged. They may come in, you mentioned higher end retail. I'm not sure what that means, but that is where I think, and that's where I think, we do need to go with the special permit part of this. And I think that would cover, what could be sold in the retail operation. So I'd be in favor of, adding in that special permit requirement. But again, overall, I'm in favor of this. And my question, I guess, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town planner, the text language is where it mentions retail operations, our regulations, and as you said, they do say 3,000 square feet, but our wording says retail operations which are secondary to but integrated with the main use on the premises. Now, again, to the town planner, is the what integrated with is missing from, the text amendment. Is that something, we should have in the regulation?
I think we should certainly add something more specific. I completely agree with you. I think the retail operations is why I'm recommending a special permit as well, due to just the aesthetics, control over architectural features, things of that nature. And I don't know how else you would word that unless you could just say, retail operations would have to be clearly secondary to the use. However, we could, figure that out during the special permit process. Obviously, you couldn't have a Dunkin' Donuts that generates more traffic than the actual primary use, something to that effect. So, yes, I would agree that at least adding that language to that would hopefully help. Or it says not more than 3,000 square feet or 10% of the gross floor area of the principal use, whichever is smaller. But there really is no gross floor area of the principal use in this case. I don't know what the applicant would think about amending that language.
There is no gross, so I'm amending the use to be the primary use, electrical vehicle charging facility, and they're not indoors. I just would like to make a comment. I did provide you with data for traffic. It's a traffic report, and obviously when we go to special permit, I will do a full-blown traffic study. However, if you look at the traffic report and review it, what I've proposed in the retail use as well as the electrical vehicle charging facility is less traffic than I would be allowed right now to construct a 20,000 square foot office building with more parking than I'm proposing here, therefore more impervious surface. So 3,000 square feet is something that the commission or whomever, maybe the previous planner, agreed that would be acceptable in an existing use, and that is not being limited. Coffee shop, where you could have actual patrons sit there for hours. This would be more of a transient use. I don't know how to define it in the definition, but I don't think you could say 10% of the primary use facility, or unless you want to recognize that the primary use facility is what I've highlighted as parking. I don't know how to do that, is what I'm saying.
So, I'm okay with the 3,000 square feet. It's just those, for me, the couple of, because, the other part, as Mr. Pagini mentioned, was the regulations say, or 10% of the gross GFA of the principal use, whichever is smaller. So, I think what you've proposed is actually, a 10% would actually be bigger than the 3,000 square feet. I'm okay leaving it the square feet. Okay. It's the only issue I really had was, the wording on the secondary use as we stated in our regulations. Again, the retail operations, which are secondary to, and you have that in your text amendment, but then it goes on to say, but integrated with.
So what do you suggest? I'm just...
Well, you have it right here. Retail operations which are secondary to, and then you go, shall not be more than 3,000 square feet. You basically just left out, but integrated with.
Okay, so just add that language.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think that language, along with the special permit, would give us a good comfort level as to, what could be used in there.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine.
Okay.
So you're saying retail operations which are secondary but integrated with shall not be more than 3,000 square feet? Okay.
Which are secondary to, okay. So when you make your motion, you'll put that language in? Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? I think there's people,
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Are any other commissioners?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Could I just-
Yep, you're next. Doing my thing.
I just wanted to make sure that it gets added as a 410C3, because it says it's added as 410B16 right now. It would have to be 410C3. And the language, I think the motion has the old language, so it just needs to be revised to the new 12/8/2023 with the revision that we just made to the definition. And I'm all set.
What is it, Kevin? 410?
410C3.
C3. So it's not number 16 in the permitted, oh, because it's a special permit. Got it.
Correct.
You're saying 4.10.C.3,
Yeah.
small c still?
No, just 4.10C3.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to add any, any extra small ABCs, that would be kind of up to the commissioners. But it seems like most of that is addressed in the definition.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Does anybody want to speak for the public hearing from the public? Anybody? Oh, over here, I'm sorry. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Lou Tagliatella Jr., Smoke Rise Road, Wallingford. Been there 43 years. By the way, if you haven't owned an EV, it's kind of unique, and it's nice to hear there might be a coffee shop where you can grab a corn muffin and a cup of coffee, because you can only do emails and phone calls for so long. And waiting 20 or 30 minutes to get 250 miles of charge, it gets boring. My brother and I drive back and forth to Maine all the time. We stop off in Massachusetts, so it's nice to hear that. And this is a great location, right off 50, exit 15 off I-91. Was it a couple hundred feet from the intersection, I think? So we've gone as many as 5 and 10 miles in off of 91 and going up to Maine to try to find a location, okay? There are more and more being built, which is great. But we're all trying to be less dependent on oil, so EVs are kind of here to stay. I know there are people that don't like them, but anyways, I commend the Verna family for taking a piece of private land that's pretty valuable and putting something like that there that the public, not just Wallingford people, but anybody on I-91 is going to need with their EV. We have 3 of them at work, and I know what it's like to get low on the needle. So I'm just trying to say, I think it's a great idea. It's in a great location. Anything the Verna family touches, I think you must know this. They put their signature on it. There's not a blade of grass that's not in perfect shape, whether it's a strip mall, whether it's affordable housing over by the Oakdale, whether it's condominiums they've built. I've always been proud to call them friends of mine. And Liz told me not to come tonight. Don't come. I said, no, I'm going to sit. She goes, you're not going to sit for 5 minutes. I said, Liz, it's important to me. We're an EV family. I think you should hear some comments from somebody that's got 3 of them at work. So anyways, that's basically it. I hope you vote positively on it. I think it'd be a great thing for anybody with an electric car. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Yes. Name and address for the record, please.
Bob DeMayo, Murray Lane. I'm really happy that we're at the point where you seem to be landing, that this will be a special permit. That's kind of been my contention, that as a site plan, this could have had the potential to be really problematic, unintended problematic down the road, as this technology grows. And, to the gentleman's point, right off I-91, 15, there's the dynamics and the variables that are there for something really big down the road. I know it's probably not going to be soon, but, as I've stated in my letter to you all, this could be, hopefully one day, the future gas station that we all know. I mean, it might not be anytime soon, but we just need to be protected vis-a-vis, as this special permit comes forward, there's a way to control future volume. So I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others from the public? If not, I'm going to pull it back. Any commissioners? Commissioner Sanders. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I answered all of them. So quick, dotting I's, crossing T's. The last sentence in black text, parking spaces associated with any EVs, I believe that the S should be lowercase, electric vehicles, plural. Also had just a question, probably somewhat related to Commissioner Cohan and perhaps through Chairman to Town Planner to Kevin. It seems that this is being added and is really related to and not dissimilar from some of the things related to a fueling station. It doesn't have some of the concerns that and regulations that we would need with someplace dispensing gasoline, things like that, and providing service. But I'm wondering if has this been structured based on existing regs for fueling, and if not, should we perhaps allow ourselves opportunity to revisit that at some point?
I would say yes.
I mean, any fuel station in any district is required by special permit, so.
Right.
I think without the tanks, obviously, in the watershed, I think it's a bit safer of a use. I don't know if that answers your question, but if you want me to expand, I could.
Question was, for clarity, the question was simply, if this is it based on it, and if it's not, is there anything in terms of consideration that we should do to make sure that we can possibly review down the road?
I think by special permit, it gives us the flexibility to impose restrictions on it, impose traffic studies if required, architectural features, landscaping, things of that nature. So special permit gives the commission much more flexibility to, kind of change any unforeseen aspects of the
I think that's the most important thing, because the special permit gives us that flexibility. To your point, being able to kind of compare them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Cohen.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify the motion through the town planner, because maybe I missed this. Instead of adding 410B.16, my understanding is to add it to 410C3.
Correct. Yep.
I'm not seeing that in my version of the manual. Maybe I have an older.
It could have been the warehousing regulations were just updated.
Okay.
Not even a month ago. So my new
Thanks.
secretary is getting out new regs.
All right.
For everybody.
I just wanted to be sure. Thank you. All set.
Better to do it now then.
Yeah.
Any other commissioners? If not, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for 502-23 text amendment, Jim Property Group.
I second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? All right, motion carries. How about an action on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve a text amendment for Gem Property Group, application 502-23. Text amendments to modify section 2.2 and 410C3 of the Town of Wallingford zoning regulations as outlined in language dated in a memo revised on 12/8/2023 with the correction of adding a small s to the EVS abbreviation and adding 3 words, but integrated with after retail operations, which are secondary to, but integrated with. With those changes to the text amendment, because of the importance to the town of having a charging station and looking to deliver, future benefits for the town and the state.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, starting with Commissioner Cohan.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, this leads us to our next item on the agenda, which is item number 6. It's old business. It's a site plan retail restaurant residential, Colony Square LLC, 28 North Colony Street. And Mr. Allenson, if you'd please read all correspondence for the record. And Mr. Hines, seeing how Mr. Fitzsimmons is left, if you would please sit in for Mr. Fitzsimmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have an application for site plan received November 13th, 2023. We have a Wallingford Fire Department inspection report, inspection date 11/20/23, signed by Inspector Brian Schock. We have planning and zoning sign-off sheet received November 29th, 2023. We have an interdepartmental referral, date of receipt November 13th, 2023, from Aaron O'Hara, our environmental planner. We have an interoffice memorandum from Scott Shipman, senior engineer, to Kevin Pagini, town planner, dated December 29th, 2023. We have correspondence to Colony Square LLC from Kevin Pagini, town planner, dated November 29th, 2023. We have a memorandum to the Planning and Zoning Commission from the Department of Engineering, dated December 4th, 2023. We have correspondence to Allison Kapuscinski, town engineer, from Ryan McAvoy, principal civil engineer, dated December 8th, 2023. We have correspondence to Kevin Pagini, town planner, from Ryan McAvoy, principal civil engineer, dated December 8th, 2023. We have a set of floor plans dated or received date November 13th, 2023. And we have a site plan and vicinity map revised, date of receipt December 8th, 2023. Thank you.
Excuse me, at this point in time, if the applicant please introduce themselves and begin their presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Ryan McAvoy. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR Consulting.
Sure, if I could just make one comment. Do you folks have anything, any boards to be able to put up there?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay.
Just introducing, then I'll...
Good, okay. I'm
Move on
sorry,
over.
I jumped the gun.
Ryan McAvoy, licensed professional engineer with SLR Consulting, offices in Cheshire, Connecticut. Here with me is Mark Bosniak of Colony Square LLC, the owner of the property and the applicant. Also, Chris Nardi of Silver Petroselli and Associates, architect and designed the building along North Colony Road. So, with your permission?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
We'll know if there's a little buzzer that comes on if they can't pick you up, so I think just start talking and we'll see what happens.
Okay, so the property is subject to this application. It's at the intersection of Hall Avenue, located at the bottom part of the sheet.
And apparently it's not on.
Test.
There we go.
Anyone know a good engineer around here? Hall Avenue, located on the south side of the property or on the bottom of the sheet, North County Road, Route 5 on the right-hand side of the sheet. Property is shown here in a yellow solid line. It's about 0.87 acres in size. To the west is a couple commercial businesses. I believe it's a breakfast restaurant, Chris's Bar and Cafe, and Scotty's Breakfast, and Fostering Family occupies this building here. Across is the Railroad Green, old railroad station. Businesses on the east side of North Colony, and of course Most Holy Trinity Church located to the north. This site is currently occupied by a single-story building on the east side of the property along North Colony, and a smaller commercial building along Hall Avenue. Most of the site presently is paved. There's a fairly sizable parking area to the rear of the buildings. There is some encroachment from the church located in the rearmost part of the property. The site is flat, essentially. There's about 3 feet of grade change from elevation 73 down to elevation 70 at Hall Ave. There is currently an access easement from the church through the property to Hall Avenue. So what we're looking to do on this property is to reconstruct the larger building on the east side of the property. Right now it's a single-story building, become a 2-story. Mr. Nardi will give you a little bit more detail on the architectural features and elements of that building. And we're looking to maintain and continue use of the building on Hall Avenue and construct 3 new structures to the rear of the property on the west side. The 3 northernmost units will be essentially duplexes or two-family residential dwelling units. The building proposed on the southwest corner of the site will have a first-floor retail element and a second-story residential unit. All these uses, this building, the reconstructed building, will contain restaurants. The building on Hall Ave will continue to have retail. All the uses in this zone, the town center district, are permitted by right. We did do a parking analysis, and based on recent modifications to your regulations with respect to parking demand, we're only required to demonstrate space for 28 parking spaces on the property, which is what we have. Because this is located in the, forget the designation, but the downtown district within the town center district, residential demand for parking has been modified to 0 relatively recently. Also for the restaurant, it is retail today, and per your regulations in the town center district, a conversion from one permitted use to another, provided that it's in the same building, which we're occupying the same footprint for the structure. We only have to demonstrate parking demand for the current use of the structure. So it's a relatively low parking demand based on your regulations. In terms of access, we're going to allow entrance only off North Colony and entrance in off Hall Ave and right out only. As we all know, traffic in this area is very tricky. So people exiting this site will have to take a right on a Hall Ave, and if they want to go north, they have to circulate past the train station up to the north. In terms of site grading, utilities, I'm going to try to be very brief here. As I mentioned before, it is a flat site, so it will continue to be a flat site. Right now, the property only contains essentially two dry wells, and that's the entirety of the storm drainage available on the property. We're going to be modifying that to incorporate 4 dry wells and a section of underground plastic galleries and chambers. Soil testing on the property indicates the presence of almost pure beach sand, so it has a very high infiltrative capacity. And we did an analysis showing that there's very limited or almost no pounding whatsoever for up to the 10-year storm. Another benefit of the project is, although modest, we are decreasing the amount of impervious. As I mentioned, there are large portions of asphalt to the rear of the buildings today, essentially this whole area back here. And we're going to be adding landscaping and cutting back some of the limits of that parking to accommodate landscaped areas around the proposed residential structures. Buildings will all be served by public water and public sewer, and we will be incorporating some modifications to the sanitary sewer for the restaurant component of the building on North Colony with grease traps and things like that. So there'll be a bit of an enhancement of the character of the sewage coming out of that building. So without going into any further detail on the site plan, I think I'd like to turn it over to Chris Nardi just to discuss his vision and plans for the elevations of this building.
Hi, Chris Nardi, Principal and Project Architect with Silver Petroselli and Associates, based out of Hamden. The intent of the primary retail or restaurant building is to remove the existing structure down to the foundation. Foundations will remain and build up from that a new 2-story structure where the single-story structure currently exists. This is the main level or first floor level that you're looking at. North is to plan right, so North Main Street would be at the bottom of the page. Looking to take advantage of as much glass as we can along the street front, with our public entries off the street front as well. In this plan, you see a layout for 2 tenant spaces. It may be 1 tenant spaces depending on demand and how the property owner works out leases. We're showing an internal stair that will take you up to the 2nd floor dining area and roof deck. That stair would also go down to the lower level basement to remain for mechanicals and storage. A 2nd stair down to the basement level, and then an outdoor covered stair as a 2nd means of egress to and from that roof deck above. So 2nd floor or roof deck plan is open to the air above, open along the exterior perimeters. As you'll see in the elevation momentarily, we are taking the solid structure up on the street facade and trying to reflect what is a solid building from that perspective. This would be an operable wall that can be closed during the winter months to allow for interior dining or during inclement weather, but this whole space could be opened up in the nicer weather and warmer months. We also have some mechanical penthouses up here that would be fully screened from all views, interior to the restaurant and exterior as well. I'm going to go to the colored facade just because it's going to help me explain the materials a little bit more. This is our street front. So again, maximizing glazing with aluminum storefront systems along the street front, primary entry doors to either the 1 or 2 tenant spaces. The blue that you see would likely be a glass fiber reinforced polymer product. The brick texture, we're proposing an ephes or stucco synthetic system with that brick appearance. They've come a long way in recent years of what they can do to that texture and appearance of those materials. And doing this for a few reasons. One, obviously the weight of true masonry is difficult up on the 2nd floor, and we get better energy and thermal performance out of this type of system as we have continuous insulation along our entire exterior facade. Dropping in aluminum windows up above on the street front side. And then we didn't show an elevation to the south because there's only about 4 or 5 feet between this building currently and the adjacent parcel, so that would be a solid firewall. What you're seeing here is the north facade that would face Holy Trinity. You can see the beginning of that outdoor roof patio with the railings, and then the west facade, which would face the owner's parking lot with the exterior covered stair coming off the back. And the majority of this would be enclosed as well up above. The operable wall, for reference, would be in this location behind that wall, and then service, kitchen, and entry doors for staff on the backside. I'd be happy to answer any questions,
Yeah, if you have any
or if you're going to save them till the end.
I guess, is this the extent of your presentation?
Trying to be brief, it is late.
Oh, I understand. I just wanted to,
Yes.
Yes.
We're
okay. Mr. Pagini, any comments? I know we had comments from you as well as from the engineer, and I believe that those, correct me if I'm wrong, those comments have been addressed. Is that correct on the revised plans, or on the plans that we have?
Yes, we had several pre-application meetings, and they were able to address all of my comments. They did provide, I guess, more illustrative elevations to myself, so I don't know if I included those in the packets, but anyway, I think it's a great project.
Commission members, any questions? I just have a couple. On the residential, the new buildings, I noticed on some you have some wheel stops, and others there's no wheel stops. You know, you have the, if you could put your plan back up there, please, the first one. Yeah, and I was just curious, at least on the plans I had, those, yeah. There's some wheel stops, you know, for vehicles are designated, and then, you know, on the ends, there was no wheel stops. If I was looking, yeah, I was just curious. There you go.
Loud voice, speak out loud. We have a flush condition for these spaces right here. So with a flush curb condition, the concrete wheel stop is important to keep vehicles from hitting the gas and going to, whereas the rest of these spaces have a raised curb.
Oh, so there's a raised curve on those others.
really-
Okay, yeah, when I was looking at that, it just seemed a little odd to me. As far as snow shelf, when you plow the lot, where are you going to put the snow?
Snow removal is going to be very tricky here. No
I'm sure
question.
you have it all figured out, though, and you're going to tell us.
There are landscaped areas alongside the building. There are landscaped areas in between the buildings in certain areas, but on a property, downtown property like this, you know, the luxury of large continuous areas of snow storage is limited. So I imagine during a significant snowstorm, the owner, Mr. Bosniak, or his successor would probably have to, at some point, contract to have it removed from the
Have
site.
it trucked away. Okay. And then on the, I guess it would be the north, you know, where the parking, where your parking field is to the north now, it goes to the Holy Trinity parking lot. Now, there's an easement, is that correct? So they'll still be able to come through your lot.
Absolutely.
But with your building, is that going to be two ways? So if, you know, I were living in one of those units and I wanted to head north onto, you know, Colony Street, Colony Road, I always get it confused which is which. Would I be able to go out that, the parking lot where Holy Trinity is and then make that quick right? How would that work? Or would you be
Talking about making a
restricted?
left out of here?
Yeah.
We're not encouraging that movement because.
So then are you going to put signs up that say no exit?
Yeah, we have an entrance only configuration
Yeah.
here.
But again, what I'm saying, where the Holy Trinity is, right?
Right here?
Yeah, but your parking lot comes out to, if you put your, on the top of your parking lot, no, go back, right there. Now going up, that's a pass-through, is not that correct, or is?
Well, the church has access to
Yeah,
our
like I said,
property.
there's an easement.
Right. Our
to that.
property does not technically have access through the church. There's not a reciprocal easement there.
All right, so someone would not be able to exit your property using that easement, is that correct?
That's correct, but that wouldn't stop someone coming through the site using the church property. It's kind of the easement's in favor of the church.
Okay.
So I can't,
So you can't, so the bottom line is, you couldn't put a sign up, no exit. You couldn't do that because of the easement, because the church the church has be able to enter their property and exit their property through that easement, correct?
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
right.
yeah, that explains. All right.
I wouldn't want to confuse the.
Yeah,
Good-
no,
I'll-
I get it. I realized there was the easement, but foolish me, I didn't realize it worked two ways. All right, and I guess it's more for Mr. Pagini. You raised the issue, and explain to me, Mr. Pagini, just the parking requirement for the new building.
Yeah, it's in the downtown development corridor, which requires 0 minimum parking requirements for residential. So they'd be able to.
No, I understand the residential. As far as the commercial building that they're taking down and rebuilding.
So they'd be able to keep what they have existing currently. They just have to account for the expansion of the, I believe they're calling it a restaurant area. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that's included in their parking requirement, correct? It's
Correct.
the first floor and the second floor.
Yep, but
correct?
they are providing residential spaces even though they aren't required.
No, I understand that. It was just, I just wanted to make sure I understood. It's that the space is providing, or the parking is providing for the second level.
Because the town center allows for any change of use that exists.
Yeah, no, I
prior
understand
to-
yeah, it's the change of use. But again, we're taking into consideration the second floor.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. I just wanted to clarify that. Yes, Mr. Hine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you just point out where the trash receptacles would be for the restaurant?
So we're proposing a very small enclosed dumpster space right here.
That's my only question. Thank you.
There's not a lot of room. Yeah, I know. Fair question.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess just my comments were, I'm looking at this plan, and I know we've talked about trying to encourage some development in our downtown area, and certainly I think there's been probably a lot of time, effort put into this with the applicant, with Mr. Pagini, and I'm very encouraged to see this happen. Certainly, looking at the new building you're proposing, the residential, the retail building, restaurant, whatever, that building, as well as then providing some housing. I suspect we all feel it's a shame that somehow you couldn't be able to purchase the property on the corner, but that's not your issue. I'm sure you folks tried to do that, so I'm certainly very supportive of the plan. Unless you folks have any final comment, I'd entertain a motion from the commission on this application.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve application 228-23, site plan request for Colony Square LLC to reconstruct an existing building and add a second story, construct 4 new buildings, and reconfigure an existing parking area at 28 North County Street on plans entitled Colony Square Mixed Use Development dated 11/13/2023 and revised to 12/6/2023, subject to 1, comments from the town planner dated 11/29/2023, 2, comments from the town engineer dated 12/4/2023, 3, comments from the senior engineer Scott Shipman, Water and Sewer Division dated 11/29/2023, 4, erosion and sediment control bond in the amount of $4,000, and 5, 6 copies of the approved final plans forward to the Planning and Zoning Office.
Do we have a motion on the application? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cohan, voting beginning with Mr. Hine.
Yes.
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 And yes, the application's been approved, and certainly I'd like to thank you for, I guess, being a pioneer in our downtown area and, for looking to invest in our community. Have a good evening, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Pacini, before I go down to kind of finish up the rest of our agenda, just a quick question. I guess it's Mr. Allenson. You mentioned that there was one item that was erroneously reported for a prior application. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was my fault.
No, I understand that. But as far as, should we not have that taken out of the, or at least note that it's an error?
Yeah, it could be noted in the minutes, correct?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. I think we might want to mention perhaps that it was just noted, as an error. I think that would be the best way to do it, and then we won't have to slap Mr. Allenson's hand.
Mr. Chairman, for what it's worth, I'm perfectly okay if in the minutes they report it as erroneously reported by myself. I own this one. My bad.
All right. We'll leave it at that. All right, Mr. Pacini, if you kind of wrap things up for us.
Annual report will be out for next meeting. It just has to be done by the middle of this month, so that'll be for your February packets. Administrative approvals, any questions on those? ZBA decisions, there was no December meeting, and the ZBA notice of January 16th, I don't have that in my packet, but if you have questions on that, feel free to call me or email me, and I could gladly answer those for you.
Okay, I think that concludes our meeting, unless there's any other business that would like to come before us. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close the Wallingford Planning and Zoning Commission for January 10th.
Second. We have a second, second by Mr. Cohan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.